I wish today I could say that I could start off this episode, this podcast, on positive uh, circumstances. Um, However, while I do want to wish my friends who have served, uh, very blessed Veterans Day, unfortunately, this is a day that I really didn't want to have to make an episode on in this times of circumstances. This is not much a full episode, but more of a mini episode. But I figure I will do this because I didn't want to make some vlog to make about it because this hurts me a little bit more in the sense of it. The last time I had this emotional situation of a loss of a celebrity that pretty much changed my life was when the passing of Prince happened on April 26th of 2015, I believe. That was the last time that I had an emotional situation when the celebrity passed. Um, I would say also Stan Lee would fit in that category as well, but it's hard to say on the sense of Stan Lee because I was more of a DC fan. But I do understand his legacy of influence in the comic book world. At around 11 o'clock today, on 11/11/2022, I, like many of you, received the unfortunate news that at the age of passing of 66, voice actor Kevin Conroy passed away. For those out there who are unknown, I'm pretty sure you all who have known, he is one of the most recognized voices as an actor in the world of Batman. He was the original voice actor who had portrayed for the last few centuries the voice of Batman from the animated series when it first premiered to many incarnations of Batman throughout the animated and world, including the Arkham video games and many other franchises of the Batman world. When you think of voice actors who have portrayed the Dark Knight in the accumulation of several years, before Troy Baker, before Christopher Pike, before Sean O'Hara, before many others, there was only one Kevin Conroy. Before Dietrich Bader, before Bruce Greenwood, before Sean O'Hara, there was Kevin Conroy. Kevin Conroy has been synonymous with the voice of Batman for years. And I truly believe that he was truly the man who made it possible for many other actors to channel their own variation of Batman. But Christian Bale will never admit to it, but let's face it, his portrayal of Batman and Bruce Wayne was heavily influenced by Kevin Conroy. This hurts me a little because not only had I not got a chance to meet this man who was a lot of my mentally inspiration of motivation but also was responsible for my childhood, like many of you all were. Kevin was a thespian of many talents. He had done a lot of work, had worked with many other celebrities before his voice work was claimed in his world. And right now, by the time this episode is uploaded, a lot of people have been pouring out condolences as well as many unfortunate emotional moments of his passing. When I was growing up, I remember watching the animated series every afternoon when I came home from school. And it was the second niche that necessarily made me become more of a Batman fan. If I wish you could see what I'm doing right now. Literally right next to me, I have the animated series Batman Multiverse figure that was released by Todd McFarlane Toys. And It's hard for me to even look at it right now. Along with, on the other side of me, I have the box sets of both the Batman animated series and Batman Beyond, the complete animated series. And it's hard to look at them without not thinking about Kevin Conroy. Because many people know Kevin set the tone for the voice of Batman, so that many other actors could portray his voice. And the thing is he has done it the longest of many other, compared to many other voice actors. Many other voice actors. Like I stated before, there have been many other voice actors who have portrayed him. But Batman, Bruce Greenwood, Troy Baker, Dietrich Bader, Sean O'Hara, they all have done very well done jobs of playing the Dark Knight. But there's only one voice that stands alone compared to all of them, and that will always be Kevin Conroy. Many of these men have worked with Kevin in some alternative states as well, but Kevin Conroy set the tone. Many of you who have watched either the documentary I Know That Voice that John DiMaggio produced, or have listened to the commentary from the Gotham Knight story, and for the Gotham Knight movie, and the story that Kevin tells in both of those moments is the same story that I love to remind myself of why I understand why Kevin loved portraying Batman. And that was the story of when he worked at a soup kitchen during 9/11. It was a somber time. A lot of people were down. It was very, very dark and gray area. And it wasn't until one of the workers recognized his voice from playing Batman. And it wasn't until people didn't believe him when he spoke a quote from the animated series that he's known for portraying, that people realized it was him, and a positive energy radiated throughout the entire soup kitchen. People were lively, talking with their kids, their families, telling him how much they appreciated his childhood, and they're passing it on to their kids and many others. And it sent such a warmth of love to Kevin for what he did. And I've never known a voice actor, from every interview I've watched, every interview voice work I've seen him do, I've never seen a man who truly embodied the love that he portrayed in one character in different variants that I've ever seen like Kevin Conroy. Because there are many actors who have done work in theater and film and has done incredible work in after years and don't want to be reminded of a voice role they've done, or sometimes they'll do a lot of big roles and stuff like that, and some voice actors will probably say, hey, I don't want to be reminded of playing this small part. But Kevin was not that. There's never been a moment, there's never been a tabloid, a video documentation or news article that I've ever read that Kevin Conroy was not willing to succumb for the fact of playing Batman. And there have been many people in the entertainment industry who don't like to be pigeonholed into that character. And Kevin has done many other parts. Let's make that clear. He has done many other parts. From playing a character in He-Man, Masters of the Universe, Revelation. He played a supporting character briefly. He played the voice of Bruce's parents in one of the variations of the Batman films. He played an alternative Batman. He's even done a few other small voice parts. He even had a small part in Yoga Hosers, a cameo in Yoga Hosers, where he played a father who was in the supermarket that the main characters worked at, and his son's name was Robin. Speaking of which, about that movie, one of my other favorite moments is his interview he did with Kevin Smith, the Kevin Smith. If you have not listened to the Fat Man on Batman podcast or Fat Man Beyond podcast from Kevin Smith, in his interview with Kevin Conroy, I would highly suggest you listen to it. There's so much enrichedness in that episode. It's one of my favorite episodes of the podcast in general of all time. from the very beginning of the episode, when Kevin sets the tone about how much this actor meant to him, and Kevin is geeking out to the point where Kevin Smith is geeking out to the point where Kevin Conroy just in Batman voice says, "Welcome to Fat Man on Batman." Kevin is just melting with excitement. He said, "This is good." I believe the quote he said was, "This is ear porn for me." It's one of my favorite episodes, and if you have never had the chance to listen to that episode, I highly, strongly suggest you listen to that episode. It's one of my favorite episodes from Kevin Smith's podcast of all time. There are many podcast episodes that are great in Kevin Smith's entire dialogue of his podcast, but that's the one that really is my favorite of all time. Kevin goes on about his acting career, going to acting school, how he was, I believe there was one moment he literally said at one point he went to the same school that Christopher Reeves went to. In which Kevin Smith's like, wait, Batman and Superman went to the same school? I believe he brings up about Robin Williams and many other people he's known in his career. But yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone remembers 2 episodes in the Batman lore that sticks out the most. The episode in which features Batman consoling a young child who is a part of the Royal Flush family gang in an episode of Justice League Unlimited, where she is basically dying because of her power, and Batman consoles her till her very end. And then, of course, the episode of Justice League Unlimited where he is singing "Am I Blue?" in exchange of saving Wonder Woman from being turned into a pig. And which Kevin sings "Am I Blue?" which it's a tender moment because you never really expected Kevin Conroy to have such a soothing voice. It's very, very... those are the 2 episodes that stick out of my mind. And I'm pretty sure to everyone else in the world of Batman for the animated series, that's the same thing. I mean, like I said, he's done many other parts outside of the animated series. Batman Beyond, Justice League Unlimited, Justice League Action, and of course the Arkham games. Arkham Asylum, Arkham Knight, Arkham City. He has played the voice of Batman in all those variations of the world of Batman. So again, it's very heartbreaking to know that this man has left a legacy for us of knowing how much endeared we are to this man for what he's done in the world of Batman. He was one of my goals to meet in my future life, and at one point I was hoping to have met him when he came to Detroit, because there was a Comic-Con that was earlier this year in honor of, I believe, the 30th anniversary of the animated series, which featured pretty much half the entire cast, with the exception of Tara Strong and Mark Hamill. Everyone was in attendance, including Kevin. So I think that was his last con appearance, technically. And I was going to go, but unfortunately, money and travel is always a hard situation. In fact, many of you, of course, know I went to Youmacon recently, and I was barely able to go there for a day. A lot of you guys know that the Batman Returns film was the movie that introduced me to the world of Batman. It opened the door for me. But what made me walk in to be a lifelong fan of Batman was the animated series. It set the tone for me as a fan to be a Batman fan for life. And it's very heartbreaking to know that this man, the one thing that this man's legacy was taken away too soon. Like I said, this is hard for me because I look at that man as a hero among heroes, and it's another niche for me as a person who grew up being a fan of this world of Batman, to lose another actor who has unfortunately it's come to that point that he's unfortunately gone. And trust me, I would have done this with Kevin Smith, with Prince and Stan Lee, if I was doing this podcast. But it's sad that it had to come to this point, that this situation happened. And we're dealing with so much in this world, with politics, racism, the disease situations, the fact that technology in some cases, and to see this being the tone of something of this year getting worse, how it's ending, is not a good look. It's not. I didn't want to believe it either at first, but it took Gray Delilah, who I followed, who is known for playing the voice, who has done voice work with Kevin in video games, to Tara Strong, Batgirl, Harley Quinn herself, confirming it, that it's very hard to see that he's really gone. The last thing I remember I read from him was actually, and this is what I also recommend, was the fact that he outed him. He basically came out as homosexual. DC started doing this thing for the LGBT community by releasing an anonymous book every year for Pride Month. And Kevin wrote a story, which I highly would suggest you read if you ever get a chance. And in that book, in that story, it was Kevin's contribution as a person in the gay community. And that's when I realized, two and two together, most of the people who are in that, who contributed to that book, are from the LGBT community, which meant that Kevin confirmed his outing. And it was from that moment that I realized that the Batman that I loved, the voice actor who played Batman that I loved back then, was also gay. And that didn't change a fucking thing. It did not. Nobody criticized him. Nobody discussed it. Nobody was upset. Nobody was heartbroken. It just meant, okay, so the guy who plays the voice of Batman is gay. He's still cool as Batman. That's something that you really don't see happen in the community. When Superman, his mantra was changed from truth, justice, and American way to true justice and a better tomorrow, people were furious. I remember the words from people were saying how furious they were about it. But this situation, to find out that the Batman of our childhood was gay, nobody batted an eye and lost their mind. It told you right there that it was synonymous of, it didn't matter about the gender. And I hate to say that this is, even though this came from the opposite of DC, it goes back to a saying that was said many times before. It doesn't matter your gender, it doesn't matter your race, it doesn't matter your preference. Anybody can wear the mask. And that even includes anyone who was from Gotham City. And that alone speaks volumes. And that's why I'm so happy that it didn't change anyone's mindset about Kevin. Because the fact that the man came out from that, through that book, through his story, didn't change on other people's mentality on the fact that, oh, Batman is gay. He's not my Batman anymore. I'm disgusted. Nobody was. Not at least that I heard of. And I don't want to put that on the highlight of it, but it was just... It's just using that as an example of the fact that this man's work didn't change anyone's outsetting of in general because of their childhood. It didn't tarnish it, didn't destroy it, except when it was moments where different actors took over the role of Batman. Like I said, there have been many others who have worn the cape and cowl in voice work, whether it's animated films, shorts, to other video games. Troy Baker, Bruce Greenwood, Diedrich Bader, Peter Weller. Almost forgot about him. There have been many other actors. Jensen Ackles, I forgot him. Many actors who have worn the cowl and have done the voice. But out of all of the actors who have played the voice of Batman, Kevin Conroy still stands above the top as the most recognized voice in Batman. And losing him has just set a harsh and heavy, heartbroken tone of that situation in that lore. I remember the first time I watched Joker's Favor, which was the introduction of Harley Quinn by Paul Dini and Bruce Timm, was the moment that I started watching in general. From every other episode of, whether it was the Joker's Favor episode to the Laughing Fish with the Joker, to if you're so smart, why aren't you rich episode with the Riddler, Cat and Claw with Catwoman, and many other episodes that featured Kevin in his amazing work of the voice work. It was, without a doubt, some of my favorite work from him. And he will be sorely missed. So before I end this special episode on a morning of situation, as I said to people before, if you haven't watched the documentary, I Know That Voice, watch it. It should be available for you to watch and stream. And watch his interview when he talks about 9/11. Also, if you can, listen to Kevin Smith's podcast episode with his interview with Conroy on Fat Man Beyond, or Fat Man on Batman. It's one of the best episodes of his podcast ever. So much knowledge from that man, from his acting career and leading up to his career voicing Batman over the several years. It's one of my favorite episodes, and if I would not be remiss that many of my friends who are Kevin Smith fans would, of course, rail together to talk about that episode. I would not. Also, I believe there is a podcast with Christy Carson Romano, and that also has an interview with him as well. I would suggest listening to that as well. It's one of my favorite episodes of from the podcast from them as well. The Vulnerable Podcast. I had to look for it. Vulnerable Podcast. I believe. No, it's the I Hear Voices podcast. If you have not listened to the episode with Kevin Conroy on that podcast as well, please do that. It's one of my favorite episodes as well from that podcast as well. It's such a those are two podcasts that you hear a lot of, And one thing that sticks out from that I Hear Voices podcast the most is the fact that when Rill asked Kevin, who's your favorite Batman, that's not you. And Kevin is hard to say no on the fact of, I can't say me. Which just tells you he's one of the few voice actors that loves playing this role for years and years. So, apologize, my phone went off. But he's one of the voice actors. He's one of those voice actors that it's very rare to see a voice actor that actually loves playing this role. So, please, if you can, please listen to both of the episodes, the I Hear Voices podcast episode, and from Christy Carson Romano and Will Fredel, and if you can, listen to the episode of Fat Man Beyond or Fat Man on Batman with Kevin Conroy and Kevin Smith. Both of those I recommend truly to get to know more about Kevin if you have not known much about Kevin Conroy's career and his legacy. Hopefully I will be back on a more better, less somber episode of the Yoku Misaki Show. But I wanted to take the time out to make this episode in honor of someone who I consider a hero, who wore the cape metaphorically, voice-wise, and was part of my childhood. And it was another pillar of me, of my admiration and love for this character, for the superhero that I've loved since I first started watching Batman. And I hope that his family, his friends, and pretty much anyone who has met him will receive all the love and condolences from me to them, if anything. And I want to hopefully send that same prayers, love, and condolences to his family as well. And if by some chance in heaven, Kevin, if you hear this, thank you for being a part of my childhood, from my generation to younger generations. And thank you for being the voice of a hero that truly meant everything for all of us.